First off, thank you for taking time out of your busy day, your busy evening, for to watch this video. Um, I watched for a second time the full length of the movie, but now with a Q&A portion with Amy Berg this evening at 8:26, 2025, and started at 5:40 p.m. Um, and she wasn't able to answer one of my questions. It's just because I came from left field. First, my name is Julius Vladimir Francisco. Um, I used to be one of the youngest members of Ray Bradbury's group. I am no longer. Um, and I also panel for different Comic Cons throughout the country. My day-to-day job is I'm an HVAC guy. Um, this particular question um, was more towards his Panamanian immigrant upbringing. Again, wanted to thank for you sharing your archive to Amy Bergen, giving her the green light finally after like a decade. And mad kudos to both of you, and mad kudos for Amy Berg for creating a marvelous and graceful documentary that truly honors and captures your son's aliveness, Jeffrey Scotty's aliveness. And thank you for the emotional damage, Amy Berg. Jeff is known to be fond of sports figures like McEnroe. Even chilled with him in all talks. In all your talks with his mama Mary Guibert, did she ever say if he was a fan of Manos de Piedra, Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran? Because Duran would have been his physical prime when Jeff was a kid. So I was wondering if he saw some of those fights that you had him seeing, because he grew up in a half Panamanian house. I mean, full Panamanian, right? Because he grew up in your side of the family, and Tim, was just passing through, as you said. And also, since he grew up in a Central American infused culture household, did you ever get to listen to what is considered a SoCal staple for certain Latino or Spanish speaking households? A seminal album, the work of Sherpatic Jewish Brooklyn girl Edie Gourmet and her collabo with Trio y Los Panchos. Kind of like the Spanish Grace almost. Like, I mean, as for a certain section of the SoCal Latino fandom, that's kind of like their go to album. Jeff's songs feel so much like English language version boleros. He also shares the same multi-octave vocal range as Edie Gourmet, and she blows out speakers too, right? The question circles back to each other because Duran also loved music, and his sponsor, later almost adopted father type figure, is actually one of the greatest bolero writers of all time, Carlos Eleta, or Juan Carlos Almran, the Haciendero. His best known work being Historia de un Amor, which has become a Spanish standard akin to songs from the Great American Songbook. And then I asked her, just wondering if his mama ever said anything about either things in all the talks you had with her. So that'd be good. If you can't answer, if that answer's too private, I understand. Again, I'm very thankful that you get that you watch this video all the way through. The thing that this question has been kind of not bothering, but on our mind for the last 20 years, me and my friends, because like we pick up in these things and like, man, like Jeff's songs, like his OG's original songs, is like feels like bolero songs. And something kind of piqued our interest. Like one of the last frames of the movie is when he leaves you a message, and he said that he got all his phrasings from you. We would love to hear like your maybe piano recitals or your live shows, or like you playing the piano and how you phrase it. So we pick up on that. Me and my buddies, all musically inclined, and you could hear Miles in there. You could hear John Coltrane, Johnny Hartman there, which is the only vocal album that John Coltrane ever recorded with a vocal artist. Um, Besides all his other influences like Edith Piaf, and Nina Simone. I'm just wondering if he was a fan of that music. It explains why he's a big fan of Morrissey, right? Morrissey's got a really big Latino following, particularly in SoCal. I'm very familiar with the area that he grew up in because I finished high school in Orange County. I actually finished in Tustin, and Loera has a very memorable thing in my memory because the first person I won against in a wrestling meet is from Loera. And there's so many great talents come out from there. Roy Rollo, his upperclassman, one of his classmates ended up opening Paradise Perks right next to Irvine Valley College, which is kind of like um, it's like Orange County Chennai. And it got closed down for the most stereotypically Orange County thing ever. It's too noisy. Like, it's got complaints at night, right? I also meant to ask why we haven't seen y'all in like Comic Cons, like, talk about Jeff, because I know for a fact he has a big fandom in the nerddom geekdom space. I always wondered why you didn't premiere this in like San Diego Comic Con or LA and WonderCon Anaheim. They would have been like really welcome, because I panel for different conventions. Usually I do it about, for science fiction shows or Filipino martial arts typically, or choreographic martial arts scenes. But yeah, we would love to have Jeff Buckley panel in there, like coming to a Comic Con near you, you know. Um, yeah, I'm still very familiar with the area. My roots is still in OC, and in fact, my parents until recently owned a house in Orange and the street of Glassell, right by Glassell. Again, if you can't answer if they're too personal, I understand. Thank you again for um, watching this all the way through. And thank you for creating your son, and him sharing his art with us. I mean, the short time that he was here, it felt like he was touching the divine, that he was the emissary of the divine. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, thank you for watching the video.